Hi everyone, it's Laura Brazil of Mind Over Muscle, and today's movement tip is to help you figure out how much forward curve you may have in your upper back, and you'll also see how that forward curve impacts the neck. So if you have shoulder tension, neck tension, I'm sending this out in conjunction with my newsletter, which talks about a dowager's hump and hyperkyphosis. So if that's of interest to you, I'll include the link to that email so you can read that. But I want you to be able to have a tool at your disposal, and this is something that I've used daily to help me figure out, okay, how much forward curve do I have? How do I assess that? It's not an exact science, but I'll give you some tools some pieces that you can look at. Um, and then also track my progress as I started to realize and build the awareness that I do have a extra forward curve, because there is a naturally occurring forward curve of your upper spine. And so recognizing if you have extra forward curve, that could lead to issues, might not necessarily lead to issues, but knowing this and being able to start working toward um, feeling better and moving better in this upper area of the body can make a big difference, because a lot of us have tension there. So let's get started. You're going to need a flat and hard surface for this. I'm going to do it laying on the ground so you can see it a little bit better, but you could also do this standing next to I'm pointing to the wall behind me, standing next to a wall with your back to the wall. So if the floor is not accessible or you don't have a firm, hard surface that's up a little bit higher for you to get to, go against a wall. You're going to want to make sure, here's my little pelvis here, you're going to want to make sure that your knees are bent, feet flat on the floor. We want to take out any tension that you might have in your hamstrings from this equation, but you're going to try and get your pelvis, the bones of the pelvis, what I call tabletop. So you're going to have your hip bones and your pubic bone here all on a level playing field. So that's our tabletop pelvis. If you're against the wall, you're going to want it vertical. So those points are parallel to the wall instead of the floor. And then from here, you just lay back down. If you're on the wall, you can put your head against the wall here. And I want you to notice how much your ribs are sticking up toward the ceiling or out in front of you. So you put your hands right there. What is going on with the rib cage here? And if you have a lot of what we call rib thrust, then it's likely that you have quite a bit of forward curve in your thoracic spine, in your upper back. So so you can see here, I'm going to exaggerate it. I've been working on mine. So I started out with this, quite a bit of rib thrust when I started on this journey of trying to get rid of it and just move better and feel better. And so the more thrust you have, likely the more forward curve. So if I were to bring my ribs into my body, which might feel weird, I might lose my tabletop pelvis. Now look what's going on with the neck. So if you're on the wall or on the floor even, but the wall's really nice, you want to put your bra strap or your heart rate monitor strap against the floor. That's going to bring your rib cage into a more neutral position, but it probably won't feel neutral up here in the neck and the shoulders. You'll find that this forward head position, we hide it by thrusting our ribs. So when we're in a more vertical position, and I'm going to take my tight legs out of this, my tight hamstrings out of it. When we're in a more vertical position, I've got my vertical pelvis here. I can thrust my ribs up and bring my head back over my shoulders. But if I bring my rib cage into neutral and create what I call a neutral core between the neutral pelvis and your neutral rib cage, your neutral core, you can see that I have a head that is out in front of my shoulders, and I can hide the head out in front of my shoulders by lifting my rib cage up. So this is why you can tell. So if you're comfortable getting down on the floor, also try it on the wall. It's an interesting experiment to also do it on the wall. Um, and but thinking generally you're going to have a neutral rib cage to match your neutral pelvis or your tabletop pelvis when your bra strap or your not everyone wears a bra, right? So if it's your bra strap or your heart rate, like where a heart rate monitor would reside, that should be pressed against the floor. You could also, to remind yourself if it's there, you could use a pen, a fun at-home object, and you could do this against the wall again or on the floor, but put it underneath where that strap would be, whatever type of strap you have. And you should have some pressure down into it, or you should be able to hold the pen against the wall. So all of this together, the more ribs out, more rib thrust that you have, then likely the curve in your upper spine is greater. And you'll also notice when you try and bring your ribs or your strap against the flat surface behind you, you will notice that your neck feels really, really strange. If you have a lot of forward curve in your upper back, you might get down to the floor and be like, I don't like laying on the floor. I need something under my head. And that's to the point where we have a high level of discomfort. And so the stuff coming up in the movement tips, stay tuned, subscribe, because we're going to dig into this in the coming weeks, and I want you to be here for it. But this here, what we just did, whether it was on the floor or against the wall, is kind of your starting point to build your awareness and to track your progress of how your spine is curving. And I'd love to hear how it went for you. If anything was a surprise and you're like, what now? What do I do? You can wait for movement tips. You can subscribe and get those, or you can contact me and I'd love to answer any questions you may have. All right, everyone. I hope you have a great day. Happy spines, I hope, are on the way. Bye, everyone.